G'day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan battle video. In this video we are going to be taking a look at the physical King Cold unit that has recently Extreme Z awakened on DBZ Dokkan battle. So we're going to take a look at just how good this guy is after his Extreme Z awakening and his Dokkan awakening. This is the Super Strike physical King Cold. And he seems pretty decent. He's definitely, I think, personally speaking, more orientated to SBR and ESBR, but we'll take a look at that now. So he's a physical and strength type key lead of 3 plus HP attack and defense is 70%. He greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn and causes supreme damage to the enemy, lowering their attack and defense. His passive skills a bit all over the place, so we'll take a look at that. He's got attack and defense of 100% with an additional key plus 3. Attack and defense of 50%, and Wicked Bloodlines category allies get attack and defense at 25% when HP is 50% or more. All enemies get minus 25% attack and minus 50% defense. He will also get an additional 100% defense and a medium chance of sealing all enemies' super attacks when facing a Pure Saiyans or Hybrid Saiyans category enemy if there's an ally whose name includes Frieza attacking in the same turn. And he will have an additional attack of 50% when the target enemy has its super attack sealed. So it's a pretty kind of all over the place passive. To cut a long story short, he needs to be above 50% health, he needs to be on a rotation where he's got Frieza, and he needs to be facing a Pure Saiyans or Hybrid Saiyans category enemy to get the full passive active. So it's quite a stretch in a sense that it's a lot of conditions to kind of get the best out of him, but in that sense I do think he does provide a lot to the team. He's only on Wicked Bloodlines, Android Cell Saga, Terrifying Conquerors, and Target Goku, and his link skills are Brutal Beatdown, Tough as Nails, Bombardment, Strongest Gland in Space, Universe Most Malevolent, Super Strike, and Shattering the Limit. To cut a long story short, with this guy I think he's okay. I don't actually think he's as good as some of the last 2 or 3 Super Strikes. I think Paikuhan was better, I think Mech Frieza's better, and I think that Trunks is better just in terms of simplicity and usability. But he is still interesting. So he is a Wicked Bloodline support, which is always pretty good. You can see here in this rotation he has 117,000 defense. There's no Frieza on this rotation, so you can immediately see the impact that that has on his defense. So without Frieza in the rotation, he doesn't have that additional 100% defense, and straight away he's looking a little bit lower. Attack wise he looks decent, definitely a decent attack set, nothing huge, nothing crazy like Frieza's at full passive, but remember we don't have the enemy sealed, so that is something that is very, very important. It's going to determine a lot in terms of his overall performance. For King Cold, one thing I do like about him is he does bring a lot of debuffing. So he lowers the enemy's attack by 25% and defense by 50%. He basically is almost like constantly running a mouse unit, which is pretty good. He then also has a medium chance of sealing all enemies' super attacks, which again is very, very good if he's facing a Pure Saiyans or Hybrid Saiyans category enemy. So that's an AoE seal. He's got a debuff for 25 and 50% that's non-restrictive, so he can have that whenever. Here we're looking pretty nice in this rotation. Defense is shot up quite dramatically, as you can imagine. We've only got 4 links active. We can't have Frieza attack first because that'll probably kill Trunks. But immediately you can see a bit of an improvement in him, definitely for sure. Overall, obviously not defense that's going to rock the boat, but 3.4 million, very nice attack stat. He does greatly raise attack and defense for 1 turn as well, so his defense would have been over 200k after the super attack. And he is also debuffing the enemies, so he is also debuffing Trunks with that 25%. So for me overall he looks decent, honestly. He, like I said, isn't as good as the other Super Strike units, at least for me, but I do think he still will definitely be usable for quite a few ESBR and SBR. Wicked Bloodlines, Terrifying Conquerors, I think all of these teams now are super easy to have a unit like Frieza in them. A lot of them do have Pure Saiyans based enemies in them, or Hybrid Saiyans based enemies in them, so you should get some decent kind of functionality out of him. Whether you're going to get the absolute best of him is obviously up for debate, but I think you should see some very decent functionality out of him. If he hits his seal, I think he could actually look very devastating in an SBR, ESBR setting, because he'll be debuffing them. He will debuff them further on his super attack. He will get his seal off, which will prevent him from doing damage. So he is really good in that sense. He can almost pseudo act like 2 support items. And it's very difficult to measure that here in a Dokkan event, but the impact of that when it comes off can be very devastating. In an SBR run, it can be very good. Like, it can lead to super safe turns, because you have basically King Cold kind of pseudo running in, debuffing the enemy, sealing them, really just throwing down. And here again we see 3.4 million. Not the highest attack set. Again, we didn't manage to seal Trunks, so that attack set would have shot up. We could have definitely seen a 4 million. But I think overall we've seen more than enough stat-wise on old King Cold. So, King Cold, not King Cole. That would be me. But yeah, basically, to cut a long story short, I think he's really, really okay. Compared to the other Super Strikes, I just don't think he's there. I do think he's an interesting option. If you're someone who likes to run full debuffing teams, you could definitely run this guy alongside some other units. His stacking debuffs alongside some other units could provide some very interesting results. And I think overall it could be pretty cool. You can definitely run them alongside, like Golden Freezes, which of course would help out. They did give him the 2 most crucial links. So whereas with the Freezer, they kind of shot him a little bit in the foot, the Mecha Freezer, by not giving him Strongest Clan in space. They do give this to King Cold. So this is obviously very, very pivotal, because Freezer does not have a Strongest Clan in space, but King Cold does. So he's got great linkability with pretty much any Wicked Bloodlines unit. He's got Strongest Clan in space and Universe's Most Malevolent. The 2 most pivotal links for any Wicked Bloodlines unit. Then there's Shattering the Limit, which is also relatively common, obviously being shared amongst mainly free-to-play units, but also some summonable ones like the heroes and the crossover units. So you do have that kind of going for you. He's then also got Tough as Nails and Brutal Beatdown. Links that aren't too common on the Wicked Bloodlines team, or Brutal Beatdown somewhat is common. But Tough as Nails is definitely somewhere along the Terrifying Conqueror spectrum. So you do have that, and then he's got Bombardment and Super Strike, which are incredibly difficult to get, and you're pretty much only going to get from other Super Strike units. Fortunately, he does have a very good Super Strike linking partner in the form of Freezer, which is pretty good. He obviously is also really nice alongside Freezer, because you will then gain a whole bunch of additional buffs because of Freezer now facing enemies in attack down and defense down. So could definitely be super duper interesting a pairing to run. I think overall I really like Freezer. I think Freezer is like, I think, very, 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 very like interesting unit. I think the 2 of them together could be incredibly decent as a pairing, but it does require a little bit of management to get there. Together I think they can definitely be a very good unit, but I think still has its capabilities. Like, it's not going to do red zone or anything, but there could be a fun little rotation for an SBR and ESBR. I think they do have a lot of great synergy with the attack down, triggering Freeze's passive, etc. And yeah, I do think King Cold's got some decent-ish links. I think his link set's okay. It's just a little bit difficult to put together. I mean, you saw there we had the Super Strike Freezer on the one side, we had the LR King Cold and Mecha Freezer on the other side. It's not that it's impossible to do it together, it's just that there is a little bit of limitations, and they're not necessarily the best unit to run the strength King Cold and Freezer. But that's it from me. See you guys next time. Bye.